I'm not sure if we have Siphamandla Goge as well to just touch base with him. Let's see if we can bring him into the conversation. Siphamandla, so a lot of moving parts to this particular story. But our sense and the insights we are getting is that it's not as bad as it was when we started the day in terms of progress being made, in terms of progress, Siphamandla, to get us to that point of nominations and the election of leadership. There has been some movement from inside the hall.
Absolutely. The ANC was racing against time to make up for yesterday's delays, and today they have been making quite positive progress, if we can call it like that. Already, the Deputy President of the governing party or governing organization, David Mabuza, is done with his organizational report. And Paul Mashatile, Treasurer General, also presenting his financial report. And there are two other crucial reports that will be presented by the Integrity Commission of the ANC, led by the stalwart, that is George Mashamba. They've got to do with Dr. Zweli Mkhize and the digital vibe scandal, as well as President Cyril Ramaphosa of the ANC and the Phala Phala scandal. So the Integrity Commission yesterday was inside plenary hall. I spoke to George Mashamba, who said to me he was ready to present, but of course there were delays yesterday, so those reports will be presented today. Earlier on, I heard you talking about you were not sure whether that report, the organizational report, was discussed or debated by the members of the ANC and branch delegates inside. I spoke to two NEC members who told me that after David Mabuza had presented, they did not debate the reports because they needed to go to Treasurer General Paul Mashatile to table and present his financial report, with an aim that both reports will be debated and discussed after that presentation. So you could have a situation where by now they are busy discussing and debating those two reports. Once they are done with that, they move to that controversial, or rather to the issue of credentials. At times it can be controversial, bearing in mind that there were delays in the registration process. Earlier on, when we did our live crossing with Joe Komane, there were 3 delegates who told us that they were arriving. That was around 3 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. They were telling us that they had just registered, they were arriving at the venue, having slept at the registration center for 3 days. I spoke to those 2, or rather 3 delegates who said they were one of the last batch to be registered. So already the issue of the credentials may have some bit of a delay, but after that we expect that once all of that is done, it will be an open session whereby branch delegates will be able to formally nominate and vote for their leaders that they prefer to lead the governing African National Congress. And the expectation is that at least by tomorrow afternoon or late or early evening, the results will be announced.
All right, and that's a key milestone, Siphamandla, because you always get the sense that people are a bit unsettled until the point at which they've disposed with the issue of leadership, and only then are people to either put aside the leadership preferences, the differences they had coming into conference, and now battle it out in as far as the battle of ideas is concerned, in as far as the various policies that are set to be adopted at this conference is concerned. Let's bring in Faith Daniels into this conversation. And Faith, you and I getting a glimpse and getting some insights in terms of the organizational report that was tabled a bit earlier on by David Mabuza, the ANC president. My goodness, does it make for, read it and weep, really. It makes for, if you are an ANC official or ANC member, ANC leader, you'd be depressed having read that report.
I think depressed is putting it mildly, Thulasizwe. Good afternoon. I think that the robustness of the discussions taking place at the moment is also putting it mildly, because what I'm hearing is that it's quite shockworthy what is coming out of that report. And I think that the eyes of the nation, the eyes of this conference also will be firmly and squarely on what the Integrity Commission report holds, because what we obviously want to know is more detail on what their findings and recommendations are when it comes to the Phala Phala investigation that obviously involves the ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa, And then also the Digital Vibes report that involves Mr. Zweli Mkhize, and both of them obviously vying for the position of president at this conference. But I want to bring in our resident analyst, Goge, into this conversation. Tulas and I are now talking about just the tone that can perhaps prevail while these delegates are talking about the organizational report, while they're going through that, the Integrity Commission report that is also going to be discussed. What is your sense of the mood perhaps that could prevail?
I mean, I think the mood more generally of the conference is one of distress. I think the president of the party, Cyril Ramaphosa, in one of his addresses spoke to how that this is a watershed conference for the ANC, given the fact that this determination of what comes out of it will largely determine what happens in 2024, more specifically how the electorate will respond to that, whether the electorate will punish the party or whether the electorate will then, be in a position to garner its vote to the party. So I think whatever responses come out of this particular conference play a very critical role in what happens to the ANC in 2024, and especially what comes out of these commissions. I think all of them signal a very important part of what is happening within the party. Of course, the analysis of the organization is important, being able to determine what is the status of the organization. Is the organization able to renew itself? The quality of the membership. Is the organization able to vet a member or a cadre that is fit for purpose and also fit to be deployed into the state? And this also speaks to the ability of the ANC to create the kinds of measures within its organization to vet people accordingly and to deploy those people into positions of power. And the inability of the party to do that, I think, in the last decade, has had some serious issues, not only for the party, but for the state more generally, and of course, by and large, for the citizen. And so
you spoke about the trust deficit earlier on, right? How big an issue do you think that is, not just for these delegates, but also for the electorate? In 2024, we are going to our national polls. How big an issue is that, given the fact that we are sitting in a particular position of where the triple challenges that the ANC has been punted for years has not efficiently been addressed?
Sure. I mean, the president spoke to this in his report yesterday to say that the ANC is still, and also the governing party specifically, has also failed to sort of deal with the triple threes, right? Being gender inequality, poverty, education as well. And those are by and large because the party has not been able to produce the kinds of policies that have actual impact on the social development of the citizen in South Africa. And I think this also shows us that the electorate is well on its way to punishing the ANC if the local government election results are anything to go by. People that are voting are either trying to not vote for the ANC, and those that are not voting or registering are absconding altogether. And so the trust deficit is not just about entrusting the party, but it's also trusting the capacity of the party to deliver on generational issues that have plagued the party from its inception right through to the democratic dispensation. And the inability of the party to deal with those issues decisively, and for it to be plagued by power contestations to the extent to which it has, is really signaling to the citizen that it does not have the capacity to deal with anything else other than factionalism. And whatever happens here, unfortunately, is solely at the hands of the member of the ANC, right? But what happens in 2024 is the responsibility of the citizen.
Let's talk about the member and the membership numbers plummeting. What do you make of that? And is there even a chance to turn that around for the better for the party?
Sure, I mean, the numbers have declined, and I think hearing what people have been saying and sort of some of the outcomes and deliberations that are coming through the organizational reports, that the ANC is in a very scary position, not just only externally, but also within itself. The members are not trusting the party itself. And I think that is signaling to us that this particular conference is either the one where the ANC really takes seriously the fact that it needs to renew itself, or it also needs to consider in what ways can it attract the kind of member that still finds resonance with the party. Because if you're losing members and you're not generating enough sort of interest, specifically with the younger demographic, you are signaling to us that the legacy of the ANC is no longer what people are looking for. They're looking for an energized, revitalized, contextually specific party that's going to be able to speak to varied demographics in South Africa. And the inability of the ANC to do that currently, I think, is being shown in the dwindling numbers, specifically in its membership.
Thanks, Lihle, there for your insights. Well, Tulas, it's back to you. It's going to be a long day for us here, talking to a lot of people at this precinct, in and around this precinct, just to get their views, and we will be sure to bring those views to you.
Yeah, absolutely, Faith. And I say there's a lot of moving parts. I mean, you were talking about the organizational processes, such as the Integrity Commission. A lot of people, I don't know, maybe were thinking that the presentation of the organizational report would entail a detailed report around the Integrity Commission's engagement with the ANC President, Cyril Ramaphosa, around Phala, as well as their engagement with Zweli Mkhize around digital vibes. Well, the sense we are getting is that the organizational report wasn't to that level of detail. It was merely an overview, was it not, Faith, of just how busy the Integrity Commission has been, going from meeting only a few times when it was given strengthened powers a few years ago to no less than 43 times in 2022.
That is exactly the sense that I'm getting as well, and the feedback that I'm getting to us as well. It reads like, and this is what I'm getting, it reads like just a feedback session and just a sort of a calendar holding diary of like what exactly the Integrity Commission has done month by month and year by year from 2013 since its inception. And it doesn't really have the meat and the bones to what exactly recommendations, what exactly the conclusions are, and what exactly the meat and bones are of the cases that they have dealt for. But what we do know is that there are quite a number of names, prominent names within the ANC that make for interesting reading in that list of names that they do provide.
Yeah. All right, thank you for that. That's Faith Daniels there, and the team, Siphamandla Goge, as well as Puleli Chwiti Jones.